Welcome to the George FT TV YouTube channel. Today we'll discuss my final trades, a bit of team sheets and a bit of game reviews of the showdown and the Carlton-Collingwood rivalry or derby, whatever it's called, but we'll go through that. But yeah, quick update on how we're travelling. Traded in Dawson. I can't really see the scores, but traded in Dawson for 94. His second half was good. First half was concerning. What was probably more concerning was they weren't afraid to throw him or start him at half forward or even throw him on the wing. Not really surprised. And from a football perspective, I'm completely okay with that for the Crows. I don't think he needs to be in 80% of CBAs, but not great for SuperCoach. So I think probably like 60 is probably the right mix for him because he can use his overhead marking around the ground. So it's probably his biggest strength, so that's all right. But yeah, I think a Gold Coast mid would have been safer, a bit more secure CBAs like a Tuke or Anderson. But Dawson has a high ceiling, bad matchup, and 5-day break, so I think he'll bounce back. But I just don't know if he's going to give me. Is he going to give me 100? Is he going to give me 105? Is he going to give me 110? Is he going to give me more? I have no idea. Whereas I think Gold Coast mids should be a floor of 110. That's fine. His DT is still good, so it's alright. Matt Crouch was good. Bit of a bounce back. Feel like he's been unders the past few weeks. Yeah, I don't know. The Crows mids are Saliga's in there, so it's kind of a main four now. What else? Dacos excellent tonight. So yeah, he's great to watch and sweet on the bench. We have to take his score, which is all good. My trades, they were... these trades I'm not comfortable with them, and I wouldn't tail them. Always make up your own mind, but brought in Dawson for Steele. We could still reverse it. I'm just worried what the injury looks like. Does it heal soon? Does it linger? I don't know. High break even. I'm just going to jump. I think there's if he comes good, he's going to be top 8 mid. So I don't know if I'm throwing away a boost here. But I just worry about the knee. It didn't look good last week, but I'm holding in other formats, so I kind of have to. But that's my take on that. Rogers to Dempsey. I think Rogers is not really a starting sub-risk if he keeps playing the way he did last week, although it was against West Coast, but I worry for Riley Garcia when I think Riley West suspended. So when he comes back in, what does that mean for Garcia? Does he move to sub? I don't know. But I think Rogers slightly less sub-risk depending on how he plays. So he's in, but he could be subbed if he plays poorly. Go rid of Dempsey. Had enough of him. 3-round average of 50. And the forward we've come up with is Dylan Moore. I don't know if this is the answer. I've looked at his heat maps. They don't look as great as they did last year. I don't know if that's I watch tape as well. We're playing deep at times, but also playing up high. I'm not really sure. I do feel that the CBAs are a little bit there. I don't think there'll be much, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has 0. But if we look here, I don't know if they've decided to put him in a few CBAs this year, which is not much, but it's okay. Obviously, Day was out for these two. But they've been putting him in there a little bit, and look at last year. Basically, he didn't even touch a CBA for the whole year. But it's 3%, a few here. 19 out of 23 games, no CBAs, whereas he's already had CBAs in 4 of 7 games. So if they can get that little bump, and he also, it's very much up my alley sort of pick where the ceiling might not be great, but the durability is really, really good. He's a really good player. He's in the right age bracket. So I like all that. It's just the role's not super great, but he can score in the past 90 plus without a high CBA role. So I'd be stoked with low 90s. If I got high 80s and plays every game, I wouldn't be too upset. But what this does is gives us 170k to really help us one up, one down, one up, one down, one up, one down, because we have no boost left. So, we can target a Zach Butters next week, no problem. We can target a Luke Ryan, who's a very high break even. Hopefully doesn't go too big on Richmond. We can target a Houston, who's probably coming down a little bit depending on how he goes. So we can just target, we can fill 1, 2, and 3, these 3 slots for the next 3 upgrades, and then we'll just be stuck with the ruck line and F6. Once that's done, we'll look at flipping a Dawson or Crouch or none. We'll probably flip Crouch and his buy. See what happens with power, and we'll try and grab some bench premiums and fix up Sweet. So I think that can be done quite easily with the trades this year, but interruptions can happen, so fingers crossed. But yeah, that's just how I'm thinking this week. But yeah, my trades this week, I'm not really confident, and a lot of these forwards are going to drop bad ones. I think Baker will score well, but I'm not sure when the players come back. I do like Cordwell, but I don't know what happens when Perkins comes back, and I don't know how often they're going to use Stringer in there. So I don't mind him, but the one with the highest upside, I think, is Jack McRae. But yeah, hamstring in preseason always doesn't sit well with me, to be honest, picking him with that. And I almost did, because I think the price in the forwards, I think it's alright to take some sort of risk. But I might target him later, because I guess the later the season goes on, the less games less chances he has to get injured, basically. But yeah, I don't mind McRae. I think, there's just a few things that can go wrong, especially with this coach. So Crows vs Port was a good game. Curtin, I guess you can't touch him with it being a sub risk, especially if they use Brodie Smith as a sub going forward, but he was okay. And then Port, I think this was a complete catastrophe from Port, from committing to Hinkley. Looks even worse. Rosie was absolute debacle and a half. They said that the scans showed something and they still played him, despite him getting through training, where I think he was limping after 5 minutes into the game. So just a completely different intensity once you start playing compared to training. So it was, I guess, it's 50. I don't know what to say, but it's this is the worst thing that can happen. You hold an injured player who gets injured, and a lot of it is the incompetence of the Port medical team there. So I wouldn't even know what to do. It sounds like you might. I think if it's a 2-weeker from here, you probably still hold, to be honest. But I don't know. It's tough because you want to get rookies off. I have no boost. If I have to correct a premium here, and it could happen, then I got to keep a Will Graham on the field when that could be, DPP that to Zach Butters. So that would really screw you for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So you can't afford injuries at this time of the year at all. And which is why I'm using my last boost on Steele, just in case. He'll play through it, but I just feel uncomfortable just after watching him. But it's a bit of guesswork at the end of the day. Not much else to say on this game. Saligo was good. He's broken out, which is good. Rankin was pretty good too, but I think we'll find him, the CVAs are just not, they'll be there sporadically, but there's just no room with Saligo, Dawson, Laird, Crouch. Throw in Rochelle a bit if they want, but yeah, he will get a few CBAs, that's all right. Carlton, Collingwood. We'll talk about, I guess, the main one, Zach Williams injured. Very injury prone, and I was sort of petrified. I jumped off early for fear of injury risk, and lo and behold, it happened. So it's guesswork, but he doesn't. I sent out a tweet today, and the way he's playing is quite horrible compared to what he's capable of. Basically, I remember him, I think it was 2019, he should have been All-Australian halfback, where he was just so aggressive up the field, whereas now I feel like he's just sitting back and, take a kick there, maybe run around the back and kick it long, get the receive and just chill, don't do much else. But he's playing quite horrible football, well below his standard, but how much can you blame coming off the ACL? Not much else on Carlton's side. Walsh really disappointing with 91. Second week in a row, his fourth quarters haven't been great. But look, he's just gone 160, 130, so should be fine. Nick was unbelievable. Good to see Nick play at such a high level again. He was, still pretty good early in the season, but I feel like he's just gone up a notch the last few weeks, which is good. And, Lachlan Sullivan came on, kicked a quick goal, got involved a bit, so he was pretty good. We'll keep an eye on De Goey and Mitchell. So Tom Morris is reporting De Goey has osteitis pubis potentially, so that could be a long-term thing because they can linger. And Tom Mitchell, I can't remember what was wrong with him, but look, he played well. I suspect he'll get another go next week. He's 102k mid. It's obviously pretty high sub risk, but you got to give him another go. He certainly wouldn't go early, but just see what happens with the injury report and how he plays next week, and he might become undroppable because he played quite well. So one to watch. Again with Collingwood, no real relevance outside of Nick for the most part this year. Swans and Giants, pretty expected. Luckily out for Sam Taylor, and then no Luke Parker just yet. Interesting that he's available and got 32 in the VFL. They're not playing him, so I think it was SEN today suggested that they could, because apparently this game's going to be soaking wet. You could drop, they're playing McLean, McDonald, Amadi. I would almost bet on one of these guys being dropped for Parker if it's soaking wet. There's no reason to play 3 tolls in the wet, so see what happens there. Not much else to say on the Giants. Darcy Jones. Hopefully he's not sub, but this is really stiff. I think Peatling will be sub. And then sub out risks. It could be any of the smalls, to be honest. Yeah, I suspect it'll be a small forward that's subbed. So, or no, Halloran's out. I don't know. So we'll keep. Don't go early on Jones, but we'll watch him. Saints North, a lot of changes here. Nothing SuperCoach relevant here. Or looks like Toby Pink's back in. Which is fine if you have him. Hopefully he can make a bit more money for you. Probably the big one is maybe if you have Lazaro, but actually a bit of relevance here. So Biggie out, defending quite poorly. So I don't think you'll see him for a while, unfortunately, if you have him. And Will Phillips dropped as expected. Also, Jai Simpkin and LDU under slight injury clouds. There were tests this week, but they've been named. So I think just be prepared potentially for a late out if you have LDU. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying that he was a test this week and, under some sort of, I think it was a calf cork or something, pretty bad corky. So I think usually they get up for him, but keep your eye on that. They've got, who's their defenders here? Archer's a defender, isn't he? I think they'll play Colby. In defence. Feels strange if they don't, and Scott will go wing. A bit of Fisher half forward, Power half forward, which could happen, but don't know. I wouldn't read too heavily into these team sheets, but Hardman's one to watch as well for next week. Played okay. With Phillips dropped, I think I'm quite happy to hold Tom Power. Is he top of position? It's unlikely, it seems, because even with CBAs hasn't had the best of form, but did show early in the year they looked fantastic in there. So hopefully he can recapture that and play a bit more midfield. But they got LDU, they got Wardlaw, Simpkin, Power, probably the main 4 in the midfield. You would think. I guess Sheasel as well. They can throw in there. Where's Sheasel named? Yeah, there. I guess they're maybe the main 5. So look, I'll copy if something happens with Power next week, half forward again. I'll just cop the hit and deal with him next week and treat him like a rookie. But I'll give him another go. If the role holds and he scores crap, I'll still just hold because I think with 70s, say he just keeps going 70. Projected, they're actually projecting him at 70s. He only drops 40k, so it's whatever. Move on to Melbourne versus Geelong. Stewart's back, which is good. Jai Clark's back, which is probably bad because he's going to lose more money and be sub, and you can't loop him. That's pretty much it. Petrarca Watch going to drop a bit in money, going to be a massive target for people next week, so that'll be good. I don't have room, but I kind of would like him in his round. I think it's like a perfect time to flip Dawson or Crouch to Petrarca. Sort of thinking about, flipping Crouch. That was kind of always the plan, but we'll see what happens. But if he goes out of control, I might need to grab him a bit earlier. But I do want Butters in that last slot before the buys. So I think I have no room for Petrarca, and that's what I've gone with Dawson. So it is what it is. Keep an eye on his TOG as well. It's been down the last few weeks. Marty Hoare, a bit annoying, but yeah, he's dead pick because Bowie's supposed to be back next week, and they're persisting with Woden. So that's unfortunate, but yeah, it's a bit of I dare say Hoare will become a 102k loophole later in the year. So I can DPP. This is what it is. But yeah, pretty uncomfortable with this dead bench. But only 3 rounds to the buy, so round 8 after this 9, 10, 11, I guess 4. So just need to hang on. Not much else. West Coast versus Essendon. Harley Reid's back, which is great. Draper out. Yeah, the comments he made about Bevo in his podcast or whatever, I don't blame him. Obviously, from a respect standpoint, probably shouldn't have said it, but he was probably speaking facts, and it's been murmurs about players being unhappy with Bevo for a while now, and not really surprising that that's come out. So, whatever. Nothing to see here. It looks like Martin played a bit half forward, so they've brought in Perkins and Guelphy, who can both start in the forward line, which is probably good for Nick Martin. So. Who's their 6th defender? Who's their 7th defender? I guess it's Cox, I think. Not even sure. So it looks like Martin should be safe starting at halfback. Richmond versus Freo. Now keep your eyes on Sonsi. So I had 32 in the VFL. Started as a sub when he came into the ones this year. So he started out as being suspended. And then I think he was subbed in or subbed out. And they played him in a dead half forward role. I do think that with Hopper and Graham out, this is the time to play Sonsi in the middle, and I feel like this should have happened. I was speaking about him in podcasts earlier. They've been talking him up a bit in preseason. The VFL numbers are pretty good, so keep your eyes on Sonsi. He's 160k with a 13 break even. So if he goes really well, you might end up paying 200k for him, which is pretty bad. But if he gets a CBA mid-roll, I'm interested even for 200k and just to see how he goes. So he's one I'm very interested in just watching to see how he goes in the midfield. Because I was watching his VFL highlights. They're not too bad. He can spread a bit from contests, so use his legs a bit. So I didn't mind it, but that's VFL. So hopefully he gets the role. So he's one I'm watching. Voss, pretty stiff, played well, but Amos is a star, so they brought him in. I thought they'd maybe I'm delusional here, but I thought they'd potentially rest Nat Fyfe because they're on a 5-day break. They've spoken about resting Yo down at the Eagles, but not at this stage. But must be feeling fine and good, and they can keep trucking along, so that's all right. But yeah, 5-day break interstate against probably a team that they should put away, but you never know. Richmond aren't actually playing terrible. I feel like the personnel is, struggling with so many injuries. So, and I guess the list was, Dimmer handed over a list that was in a bit of no man's land. So, I don't think Uzo's doing that bad of a job. Dogs versus Hawthorn. So, a few injuries and suspensions here. Daniel omitted. Doesn't really add anything to the team. And Lob is just... You just can't play Lob over the other 3 guys, so nothing you can do about that. He's not playing that bad, but yeah. Kashir Deer, he's a key forward, I think, so see how he goes. Probably just in for Charles suspension, but I know Eno knows the family, I think, so he's pretty up and about to see how he goes. And Massimo D'Ambrosio is back in, so if you're one of the few people that still have him, I do, so I feel like his ownership will be low. I forgot how to check ownership. It's not important. I think I'm blind. Can't see it. 44%. So still a lot of people have him. I'm probably just going to bench just in case because he's coming off injury and like could he be sub risk? I don't know. So he'll stay on my bench for this week, but he's averaging 86. Probably would be averaging 90 without the sub game. Brisbane versus Gold Coast. Still no Alex Sexton. They're playing Ben Long and Atkins ahead of him, which is pretty painful, but I needed to get rid of him a long time ago. So not really comfortable subbing him in or using him as a loophole in case he gets subbed. So, and then looks like they've got no relevant into, I guess. Tunstall's stiff, I guess, omitted. Like, pretty hard to break into the team. But Bruce Revel, I don't know anything about him at all. I've heard he's like 102k. Let's look at his VFL. I think he's small forward. Let's have a quick suss. 89, not bad. Oh, he's scoring alright. He's got a 20 here. Was that an injury? You'd hope so. Well, not that. Not hope he's injured, but that's want an explanation for that. Otherwise, the numbers are pretty good. Is he playing mid? Not hitting the scoreboard much. Let's look at his draft profile. Okay, this is not giving us much. Unfortunate. Well, we'll give him a watch. Not much else to say. No real relevance outside of this. I guess you want your Matt Rao. Like, I don't mind paying up for these mids because we're trying to finish our team and we're not far off. Like, people need like 5 or 6 upgrades, maybe even 4 for some people. And you just got to get the plays you don't have. And if you got to pay, it is what it is. So I don't mind paying up. Rogers named on field, which is nice. So I'm going him. I wouldn't stress too much if you don't have Rogers because he's an elevated price. And at the end of the day, he's like a half forward / small forward. So I wouldn't stress. Move on. Oh, that's it. Did we really go through all the games? Yeah, nice. Anyway, my captains for this week are gone into Sarong with the Sexton loophole. So I haven't actually set this up properly. Am I benching Wilson this week? I think I am. Against North. I feel like I shouldn't. I'll probably just bench. No, this is bad. How do I set this up? I'll set this up later, but if Gorn goes really well, I need the Sexton loophole, and if he's a late in or something, then I'll just straight see Sarong. I want to do Gorn into Sarong. The other one I could do, in case I don't want to mess with this potential sub risk, or late in or something, could go Sheasel against the Saints. How did Sheasel go last year against the Saints? Oh, I forgot how to check last year. I'll check that after. I might go. I don't like straight seeing Gorn. I like VCing him, but actually he played early. He's on a longer break. Did he play early? Yeah, Thursday night. Big break for Gorn. So we'll see him. I think we'll VC Sheasel into Gorn. I don't want to stuff around with this loop. I'm not sure who to field here. Closey or Wilson. I guess it's hard to not field Closey. I'm not sure, but yeah. I mean, anyway, good luck for your trades this week. This week is probably the week where I don't love my trades, but I feel like they really set me up for what's coming, just in case something goes wrong with Steele, or he's got a really high break even. So I have faith Steele will come good, but I don't know. Like, that's up to his knee basically. So anyway, fingers crossed he does come good, even though I traded him because I love the man. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.